And welcome, folks, to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And, folks, we got a great show, so we're going to get started right away. A little intro music for you, folks. Let's get started. Let the truth be told.
Like a moth to a flame burned by the fire.
It's a Monday night.
My love is blind, can't you
right
see
here
the
at
desire?
TECNTV.com. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. We got a great show coming at you. We got our reporter, Doc Shack. She's out on the scene at the Trump rally. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio, and I'm your host, Pastor David.
That's just how we roll.
And if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know.
That's the way to love. That's just how we roll.
It's a Monday Night Live, ain't no jive. Right here at TECNTV.com. Y'all come on in. We got a special. And if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. Let us into the truth song right quick.
Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
On the bridge.
No justice, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The Biden administration is opening new ways for thousands of people from Cuba,
The
Haiti,
replacement of
Nicaragua,
blacks.
and
Right
Venezuela
there.
to legally enter the
We
country.
got a special show coming up. We got Dr. Shack out on the road.
to protect his life and property, especially in a country where the federal government itself has proven
And we're
that
going to go
it is
straight
either,
to Doc that she's here.
unable or unwilling to protect the lives and property of those human beings.
Global, universal, and coming from the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. Now it's
Good
time
morning.
to let the truth be told with David Lowery.
Y'all come on in. Right here at TECNTV.com. And I'm your host, Pastor David. Folks, we're going to go straight to Doc Shack. She's out in the field today, and she's at the Trump rally. Doc Shack, come on in. Talk to us and let us know what's going on out there.
Hey guys, so I am here at the National Faith Association. I'm sorry, I don't know the acronyms. It's a very new group. This is their inaugural faith conference for, I wouldn't say necessarily the Republican Party, but I want to say their stance is making sure that Christians are involved in the political process in a biblical way. Right, because it is our duty and responsibility to make sure that we do govern properly because we are a nation of laws.
Yes.
We are a country founded on Christian principles. I know people don't like to hear that, but that's what we are. That's what we're doing. And so this organization has put together a fabulous event where Trump is going to be speaking here. We're going to have some other speakers. I'm actually listed as clergy because I am a licensed chaplain. And so I'll let you guys see the line. You can see that.
Look at
that long line, y'all.
Now, see,
Now,
this is what we've been talking about. See,
Yes.
Kamala is paying people to come to these rallies, and they're not really Democrats. They're just paid people like the protesters with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Look at that line.
Yes.
Doc,
Yes.
will you
Now, look, I got here at 8:30 this morning, y'all.
Really? Now,
I got here at 8:30.
You want to interview somebody right quick while we got you on the line?
Oh, sure. Hold on one second. I'm gonna not holler. I'm beckoning.
Go ahead.
Okay, not to be gross, but I'm gonna take my headset out and make sure you don't hear me.
Go ahead. We can't hear you, but go ahead. No, I can't
Okay.
hear you.
Can you hear
Go
him?
ahead.
Hey, yeah, I hear you guys.
Hey, blessings to you, brother. Welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. Give me a little bit about your thoughts out there with the clergy. I'm Pastor David with Let the Truth Be Told right here at TEC and TV. Give me a little bit about what you feel about being in this line and how you feel about Christians standing up with Trump.
Actually, I feel very inspired. I see the movement. I think it's going to be something to be inspired about. I also think that it's going to be a brighter future, at least for the next 4 years and forthcoming. And I've seen a lot of congregating, people talking about God, people talking about the future, people, trying to save children who aren't even born yet, things of that nature.
Well, that's one of the things that we've been talking about as a pastor. I've been telling people, and the Bible talks about how that we as Christians, we have to stand in the gap with politics, because a lot of people think, they say, well, oh no, pastors aren't supposed to get involved. But that's not true, because if you remember, it was Daniel who was also a politician who worked for Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible. Even Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who worked for Nebuchadnezzar, who was thrown into the furnace because they did not honor the rules that Nebuchadnezzar put down. And as Christians, they stood on God's word and were cast into the furnace, and God saved them. So we're going to break that myth about telling people, oh, no, you can't be a pastor and run for office, because as a pastor, I know that God gave me this earth. Even though we think Satan owns it, we don't. We as Christian men and women own it, and we should stand up and put righteous people in office that's going to do the right thing for us, brother.
Most definitely, I agree.
Now,
Definitely.
are there a lot of black folks out there there?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, it's plenty of African Americans out here, Puerto Ricans, people from the Virgin Islands we've been congregating with. Yeah,
I
and
love
it's
the
real
hat, man.
copacetic. Hell
I
yeah,
love
man.
the
I have to bring it forth, man. I got the blue one on, not the gray one, though.
Yes, sir. It's so refreshing to see black people now who have awakened and who are seeing, to see that the Democrats have been the one for over 6 decades to continue to use us and abuse us and never give us nothing. Were you a Democrat? Were you a Democrat before?
Yeah, I was misguided, used to be a Democrat, and then I started noticing my taxes and that I'm funding everybody else. If you actually in the workforce, none of that stuff's going to actually go to you. So it's like I need somebody in there that's going to help working families.
Yes. Now, your thoughts, brother, your thoughts on Kamala? Kamala was the border czar, and she opened our borders up and allowed all these illegals to come in here. What are your thoughts about that?
Surprisingly enough, I used to live in California, in San Francisco, when she was the district attorney up there.
Really?
Watched her 3 strike brothers out for marijuana infractions, and watched her gallivant all around with all her different boyfriends. Your citizenship right now is almost worthless when anybody can just come over here whenever they feel like it and have the same rights and privileges as you do. We need to protect our citizenship, protect the border, even militarize the border if we have to.
And you know what? That is correct, because, I work with Tom Holman. He is the border director under President Trump. And they had the border shut down to the place where anybody that would come in, they had to be vetted, they had to be fingerprinted. And that's the way the American people deserve and need to have our country set up, because right now, the Democrats have paid the illegals to invade us. And when you spoke about California, I know that the Bloods and the Crips and all of them guys that used to be out there, I'm an old GD boss from Chicago with the GDs a long time ago. And now that they have invaded California, they pretty much destroyed the black community. And now all of that is Mexicans and the trade gangs and all of that. Your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, unfortunately, because African Americans, our communities, we don't own the property in our communities. We're the easiest community to attack and displace. So unfortunately, immigrants always come for our communities first because we don't own it. And so we get displaced. I've seen people like in the Bay Area, for instance, everybody got moved out of Oakland and San Francisco and ended up in far out places like Stockton and Fresno and Fairfield and stuff like that. So our disunity, it makes us the prime target.
Yes, it does. And
Yeah.
you're so correct, man. I'm an OG. I just turned 67 on last Tuesday.
Oh, you looking great.
Man, God is
I
good,
hope I
man.
look
You know
like
what I'm
that at
saying?
67, boy.
Man, you just got to keep praising God and eat right and get the proper amount of sleep, man. And you're going to be blessed to be here, brother. Let me tell you. But that's one of the things that I was talking about on the show is the fact that every nationality comes to the Black community and get rich. The Arabs did it. The Jews did it. It has been a continuation of disrespect for the Black people. And it's been the Democratic Party who have allowed these people to attack us. And I think this should be the last straw for Black people to be voting for the Democrats. We cannot let Kamala get back in. It has been 3.5 years of pure hell with our borders open and all the things they've done. So, brother, I appreciate you standing on the grind, standing up for righteousness, man, because that's what has to happen. In the Bible,
most definitely.
God said that first seek ye the kingdom and its righteousness, and all will be added to you. And I think Black people have awakened, and we can see all the unrighteous people in office. It's time for Christians to stand up and take these offices and put God first again in this country. Thank you so much, brother, for your interview.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless.
Blessings to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Doc, great,
Yes.
great. You on the ground, man. You getting it in right there.
Oh, of course.
You got somebody else you want? Because I want to play our first clip, folks. And let me give all praises to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for making it possible. We missed it because we've been right there. Talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there, Doc Shack.
Okay, well, definitely a lot of camaraderie. Like I said, I'm clergy and there's other clergy in line. As you guys saw, the line is back down there in the parking lot. Like, I was grateful I got here early because, yeah, this is how it rocks. A lot of people want to say, they're just leaving. Nobody's coming. Look, this church, y'all. This is just church.
Yes, it is.
Okay, this isn't this is church. Okay.
And you know what? I wanna, a lot of people, Kamala is so confused about what she's doing, Doc. Let me throw this clip up there, Doc, so we can take a look at it and talk about it.
Okay.
Prices have gone up.
Yeah.
And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
What the hell is that?
Now, Doc, she was the one who opened the borders. She was the one who has caused the inflation. She caused bread to go up, gas to go up, all of these things. And now she's acting as if these things were done by somebody else other than her. Your thoughts on her?
Yeah, so again, everybody needs to realize when they put that executive order in place before their Build Back Better plan, which actually shifted energy, right? Because they wanted to go all electric and away from fossil fuels, that increased the fuels used to transport our goods. And so, not to get into the weeds of it all, but basically when you have to pay more for transportation, it falls back on the consumer within the goods because you're paying more for the ingredients to be delivered, to actually make the finished product. And then you're adding more to that finished product so you can have some kind of bottom line to continue to make the products. And so the high prices we see right now really start at the fuel level, and they will continue to increase until we really get a handle on our fuel sources, how we use them, how we're producing them, and the decrease that we need to see with the American people.
Yep, to the American people and patriots across this country, I am so proud that Doc is out there, and the lies that they tell about Trump people leaving, Not that line probably is a couple of miles long down there. You know that, Doc?
Oh, yeah. Let me do it from the right way, y'all.
Yes. Look at that.
That's long. It's long. We're in the parking lot.
All right. And you know what? The sad thing of it is Kamala has been going around the country, folks. She has been paying people. George Soros, the Clintons, the Obamas, they've been paying people to come in. And so she was in Houston. And she tried to get, you know, Beyonce was there to support her. And see, that's what's wrong with black people. These people, the Democrats, think that every time that they get a star like Beyonce or Jay-Z to come on, that black people are going to run to vote for them. Well, they did fill the stadiums. And this is what happened to Kamala. Once she got the people in there, and Beyonce did not even think about doing a show or performing, this is what happened.
Oh, that's going to be our tagline now. You're at the wrong rally. Okay, maybe they have it.
Well, she talked about.
Let's bring them over to our side.
Yeah, right. You hear the boos? You hear the booing?
Yeah, because they lied to people.
Yes, they lied to people. They lied to tell the people that Beyonce was going to perform.
She was going to be there to perform.
They didn't do that.
And they were duped. So they could show up so they could say they had the numbers. And you know, here's the thing. She's going to get her supporters, right? People are going to support her, whether you like it or not. But here's the thing. When you're using basically humans as clickbait to get your audience, that's not good.
And that's what she did too, because when she got to Houston, everybody lined up because they had told the people that Beyonce was going to perform that at the event. And that's why the people came in droves, not to come to hear what Kamala Harris got to say, because they already know she's a liar and a thief. And all the things that she's done to this country. She opened the borders, all of them herself. You got somebody else that want to come over there and interview?
I think so. I've been told, come on over.
Yes.
Okay, somebody's singing right now.
Everybody back up 4 feet. Back up 4 feet. Back up 4 feet.
We got Doc Shaq Nichols out on the scene at a Trump evangelistic rally, folks.
They will so rapidly decay. Seek to gain those heavenly treasures. They will never pass away. And it says, trust in him who will not leave you. Whatsoever years may bring, if by earthly friends forsaken, still more closely to him cling. And then when your journey down here is completed, and if to God you have been true, fair and bright your home in glory, your enraptured soul will view. Why don't you just hold to God's children, just hold.
Doc, that is so good. Can you get one of those people? Yeah, that's the treat. can you get one of them to interview them and talk to them and what their thoughts are, find out what their thoughts are about being out here in church? Do your thing, man. Go on.
Okay, I'm going to introduce you guys to Keisha. Keisha and I actually met last week, about 2 weeks ago, at another event for the Frederick Douglass Foundation. And so here you interview Keisha. She is actually a veteran. So thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for your service, Miss Keisha.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? You're out there, man. I wish I could have been out there with you guys, but what your thoughts? Because see, they think black people are not smart enough to understand that the Democrats have been destroying our families. You are conservative. Talk a little bit about you being out there and what your thoughts are, how our country is being ran by the Democrats.
Well, I know we as a people are free. We are no longer bonded to slavery, and I am free to think and do what I want to do, what I feel is best for me. As I look around the country and you look at all the major cities that have been democratically run for decades, they're not improving. The school systems are not getting better. The streets are not safe. So what is that? What's in that for me when they're not looking out for the city? If they cared about the Black community, those cities would be the beacon on the hill, but it's not. So I'm able to realize that if that's not for me, I'm not going to follow a party like that. The days of gullibility is over. I was one who would never say I was a Democrat. I changed from a non-voter into voting for conservatives. I will admit, in 2008, I was bamboozled and I did vote for the Black Knight. But I learned quickly, and I didn't do it again in 2012.
And you so correct. The Black Knight, Barack Obama, he deceived a lot of black people. You weren't the only one. There were so many black people. Just the fact that this was supposed to be a black president, he had people thinking that he was going to make a difference. He was going to make up for all the atrocities that was put on black people for years. And he basically sold us down the road, opened the doors for all the homosexuals. And now our country is so inundated. They're in the schools, they're in the media like ABC, NBC, behind the scenes, and all of that. Question to you is this. When Barack Obama came out and attacked black men and told us to get off our asses and vote for Kamala, you as a black woman, how did that make you feel?
Obama doesn't motivate me. So I'm hoping that it doesn't motivate nobody else. But I'm glad to see the pushback that the black men are finally stepping back and saying, hold on, you are no longer our king, or you were never some of our king. So who are you to speak to black people like that? You, the child of a white woman. Who are you to talk to us about that? I read online or saw online where you have black men upset that you're attacking black men for voting for Trump, while that woman is married to a white man. So how is the hypocrisy of him thinking that he gets to tell people what to do? But I'm just so proud to see so many black people pushing back, and some of them are finally waking up. I started waking up in 2008, which is more, I mean, some people have been awoke longer than that, but I'm glad because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yes. And that's the thing too. I know Barack Obama personally. He was here in Chicago. I was working in Chicago. I work with a lot of the people on the streets. We've been trying to organize ourselves so that we can unify. And it seems like every time black people start to get one step, something else comes. They send somebody else to our community, or they take away things like the economics. Your thoughts on our economy right now, sister?
Our economy is terrible. I mean, right now, it's upsetting to see how you have a certain segment of the black community talking about reparations. Whether or not you agree with that is an opinion. However, you have illegals coming across the border and they're getting the reparations black people have been crying for decades. I mean, they're getting houses, free rent for 2 years, money to buy food trucks, businesses, money for houses. Where's the outrage from the black folks to call that what it is? They're getting the reparations that you've been crying for. I mean, many of the black people struggling. I mean, like she mentioned, I'm a veteran. You have senior citizens can't afford to live. You have veterans who are homeless. Have you ever heard of any cities buying out or renting out a hotel room to put houseless veterans in there? I haven't. And
No.
then you have these college kids who are graduated who can afford to live on their own. But yet, millions of illegals are coming here. And again, all of that for free, courtesy of our tax dollars. I have a major problem with that.
And you are so correct too, because that's the big issue that every black person in America should have. Barack Obama said that black people didn't need reparations, and yet we built this country. He was allowed the freedoms that he got because black people made sure we fought for those freedoms. And so as a pastor, to me, it is truly, truly unheard of now for black people to continue to vote for the Democrats, because when Trump was in office, and this is what I tell black folks, black people get so emotional. They worry about history. Well, we had the first black president that wasn't black. Now we got the same type of person that's trying to get into office. Barack didn't do anything. Kamala's been there for 4 years. She never did nothing. She has attacked the black family, sending mothers to jail for truancy, putting black men on death row for weed charges. I mean, we just showed she had a black man on death row for 5 years. She knew he was innocent, and yet she still prosecuted him and laughed when he got sentenced from 50 to life, and he ended up innocent. So black people have awakened, and I hope and pray that more Christians step up to the plate and start taking these positions, because we cannot talk about God if we're not in a position to be able to talk about him at the top. So it is truly a blessing to have you on the show, sister. Thank you so much.
Wait, I have one more thing to say, because one of the things that recently you had at her rally where she threw those students out for saying Jesus is Lord, and the audacity of 2 black churches, one in Atlanta, one in Philly, to honor her in her church after she threw those young guys out. How? I think the country will be won if Christians rise up and say no to the devil, which I think falls under that, and start fighting for godly principles. Yeah.
Yes, and you are so correct. And sister, God bless you. And we're going to keep going. Trump 2024.
Look, I'm on the Trump train too.
Thank you so much and for being on the show. Doc?
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Hey, so I got one more person.
Go ahead, Doc. You doing the thing.
Hopefully we can fit in before they start piling us in. No? Okay. So okay, you're welcome. So Anna said no. I was like, darn it. I'm trying to pull some other people into the show. Look, it is diverse out here. I'm not trying to be non-diverse. It's just the 2 people that I knew that are here. I wanted to get them a part of the show because I told them about the show when we met. And so thank you so much for being so gracious to allow them, and just to hear other voices on this program outside of ours, right?
Right.
And we're all in agreement that, hey, this is a dumpster fire. Like, we need to change some things before it all falls apart. And we can, God's with us, but we have to move in faith. Okay, faith without works is dead.
You gotta and work without faith is dead. That's so true. And let's play this other clip about Kamala. I want your thoughts on this right quick.
Okay.
Dear Kamala Harris, let's get one thing crystal clear. The vast majority of American men have no issue with electing a female president. Our issue lies solely with you. You were second in charge of California for 13 years.
As California's Attorney General, Harris promoted enforcement of a law that allowed prosecutors to seek jail time for parents of truant kids.
As a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, how can you lock parents up?
If you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail. Yes, we achieved intended effect.
I opened the door and I see at least 7 or 8 cops that wanted to arrest me. As a matter of fact, they did.
And frankly, the prosecutors in my office who volunteered to do this? My homicide prosecutors, my gang prosecutors. And they went over there, and I said, when you go over there, look really mean.
She had me arrested and prosecuted because my handicapped daughter was sick in the hospital and had missed some days of school.
I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. That person could be arrested. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community.
I lost my job and couldn't pay rent, and we got evicted.
Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed.
I became homeless. We had to move into a motel.
All because of the swipe of my pen.
I don't agree what Kamala Harris did to my mom, and I don't agree with what she's done to other parents as well.
You were second in charge of the United States for 4 years.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. A record high number of illegal crossings.
Crime's been surging across the nation.
Huge spikes in homicide.
Could we be heading toward World War III?
After 17 years of failed leadership, you are now asking us to trust you as first in charge of our country.
I am concerned and focused on big issues. Elementary and middle school truancy is actually a big issue. If we're trying to save the state money. Because of truancy, California public schools lose $1.4 billion a year in funding. I want money.
My message to all Americans: do not trust Kamala Harris.
As men and protectors of women and children, you are simply a risk we are not willing to take.
Paid for by Maha Alliance and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Doc.
It's sad.
Doc, your thoughts on that, Doc? Now, that you know, the truancy thing is really ridiculous. And she knew that the mother had a disabled child, but arrested her anyway.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's sad because you know that money is for God. She said, I want that money. And with the
Yes.
swipe of my pen, somebody's life would be forever changed. Do you know how sinister that is? I mean,
It
that
really
is
is.
at its grossest level. She had no fiduciary duty to actually assist people that were going through complications, right? Like the woman with the daughter that had sickle cell anemia. In those cases, the state should have actually stepped in to say, where can we help you and assist you, right? As opposed to, we're going to punish you because your daughter, who's a straight A student, by the way, keeping up with her classes even through her illness, we're going to literally forever change your lives in a destructive manner. It's horrible.
Well, you know, and see, a lot of times what we're showing, NBC, ABC, and all the rest of the alphabet group, news group, they continue to hide these and they bury these type of clips because they're part of the spiritual war. See, I have to be honest with the American people as a pastor. I have to tell it the way it is. It was a game. See, the American people have been attacked not only by the Democrats, but they've been attacked by the homosexuals. We've been under attack with the Black Greeks and those people who call themselves Black Greeks fraternities and sororities. They all got together. You're talking about people like Charlemagne, the false god, and all of these people who have come together who have called themselves elite. And their whole mission has not to help the Black community. Because, Doc, think about this. In the 50s and 60s, we did not have Black politicians in Congress. We didn't have Black politicians at the state level that could make a big difference in the Black community. But the Black community was well contained because we had God-fearing people, people who honored God and Christ that was in political office, who made sure that God's name and God's people sought righteousness. So now that we don't have that, and that's why I'm telling a lot of pastors who watch this show, stand up and be counted. We have to have good, righteous people in office in order for this country to run righteously. And that's what's missing, Doc. We don't have men and women of God who've been fooled. They told, oh, no, the church and the state don't mix. That's true, because the church oversees the state. The church oversees the government, because we work for God, and there's nothing higher as a pastor. Everything is beneath me. This government, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, these are people who work for me.
Yeah.
Because it's my job as a pastor to make sure righteous people are in office. And that's what we have failed as pastors with the faith-based money, all these preachers running around taking the money. They didn't go out into the community and evangelize and help the brothers on the streets. You don't see pastors other than myself and other pastors I know going out to the Vital Cure in Chicago and across the country, helping our veterans who are living in tents. All of these things pastors are supposed to be in control of. And if men and women of God stand up, if we had did our jobs, if the black politicians who are in office who say that they love black people, then why did they allow our schools to be attacked with the homosexuals? Why have they let Barack Obama and his laws say that he is a God and no longer the God that give us life is in charge? Your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, it's to your point and what you're saying. It's like they want us to bow down to their God and not ours. I mean, we are living out Daniel, right?
Yes.
There just hasn't been an actual decree. Let's just say it like that, right?
Yep.
And for those of us that understand that, we can look and say, wait a minute, you're telling me basically to bow down to you so many times a day when the bell gongs.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? In a subliminal way, right? You need to bend the knee to me, not your God. Because if you stand up for your God, then I'm going to punish you. That's where we're at right now. And people need to understand that this election is no longer just brick and mortar. It is a moral decision. Truly.
It is. And this is a war between good and evil, because you are talking about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three Hebrew boys who worked for Nebuchadnezzar. And when they made the sound that everybody was supposed to fall down and worship, they did not. They didn't do it, even though they were politicians in his administration. They said, we serve the true living God, and we won't bow down to you. And Nebuchadnezzar got upset and threw them in the furnace. But guess what? It was God who sent Christ to be with them in the furnace, that they walked out the furnace, didn't smell like smoke. So these are the type of Christians that we have to return back to deal with the political threat that we're seeing now. And Christians, we cannot bow down to the Democratic Party. We can't bow down to Satan just because we've allowed them to do what they've done. Because had Christians stood up, it was one atheist who got prayer kicked out of school. And I find it ironic now that even though prayer is not in school and everybody else, the ACLU is fighting to keep prayer and Christianity out of school, but they allowed homosexuality, they've allowed Satanism, and everything wrong in this country is being allowed in the schools with our babies. They don't care. It's time for God's people to stand up and move this out of the way so that we can get back to a place where our children can go outside and play. We don't have all these
I'm
illegal.
going to unfortunately have to sign off now because they're going to start ushering us in. Now, I know a lot of people see owner, Noni CMS LLC. I am a paralegal by trade, and that is actually my paralegal company. So if anybody needs paralegal services, please reach out. But as always, as I always say, please check out usaredemptionparty.com. We are looking for candidates and members of the party. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys, and I'll let you know what happens afterwards.
Hey, Doc, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, and blessings to you and the people out there.
Thank you.
Folks, I want to thank Doc. It was so important that we got to her today. She has been going to some of the Trump rallies, and we're at the last point right now. To the American people and patriots across this country, we cannot continue to allow Kamala Harris to do what she's doing. She opened our borders. She allowed the illegals to come in here. These black politicians who have sat around and watch this whole thing unveil, continue to act like the country is being ran right. And it's a shame. It is a dog shame that every time in the Black community, see, because we've allowed Black politicians to get in office, just like Brandon Johnson here in the city of Chicago, he didn't have a clue. He had no ideas at all about anything as far as being political savvy. He doesn't have any experience about economics. He doesn't have any experience dealing with foreign relations, because that's basically what happened to us. We got invaded. Kamala allowed this country to be invaded. Joe Biden was part of it. And all the other folks, like the Hillary Clintons, the Barack Obamas, all of them, you would think that they would stand up against this invasion. But to the American people and patriots, they were the ones who invaded us. They allowed it. They continued to do these things. It was Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and George Bush who rented private planes. Instead of people coming across the border now, they have rented private plane companies, and they're flying them in to this country. To the American people and patriots across this country, how is it that these are supposed to be political leaders for us to do the work that we would have them to do, not the work that they want to do? They're supposed to be looking out for the best interests of the American people. And we have not seen that in the last 4 years under this Harris and Biden administration and the Obama administration, because it's been Barack Obama who have been pulling the strings on Joe, just like he's pulling the strings on Kamala right now. This is Obama's third term. And folks, he finished off what he started by allowing, it was him. Y'all need to quit holding Barack Obama up in some high esteem like he was somebody. He never gave a crap about Black men. He never gave a crap about this country. He's a communist. That's why he felt so brazen to come and tell us, Black men, what y'all Black men, what we can and what we can't do. To Black men, to the Black community across this country, we got to stop tricking ourselves off. We're being played as if we're whores and this country is a pimp. Every person every other nationality that have come here, the Jews did it. They came to the Black community and got rich. The Orientals did it. They came, they bought property, they opened businesses, nail shops, hair shops, all of this. And a matter of fact, this is how it's so screwed up for Black people. The Orientals got a pact with different companies across the world that Black people cannot buy hair or certain things unless they come through the Orientals to buy it. See, this is the kind of mess that we as Black people, we have to step away from this foolishness. We have to quit spending our money, because Black people spend more money than everybody put together. And the way we are separated, Black people are so separated, that's why we are being defeated. That's why you see these politicians like Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, they only use the Black community. Barack is not a Black man. Kamala Harris is not a Black woman, but yet they come out and she's been lying. She talk about collard greens and cooking this to Black people. Kamala Harris is not Black. She doesn't give a crap about Black people. Just like when she was in California, all the things that she did to the Black community. Black people suffered when she opened the California borders. She did the exact same thing in America by opening our borders in every aspect and allowing these people to come into our community and do what they're doing. To the American people and patriots across this country, it's time for us to stand together as one America. We cannot continue to watch what we're seeing and allow people like Kamala Harris. She's been in office for almost 4 years. It was her who did all of this. It was him and Joe Biden and Barack Obama who put homosexuality in our schools. It was the Congress, the Democratic Congress, who changed the laws and allowed the schools to become surrogate parents to steal our children, to give our children the idea and the thought that they can't be boys if they were born boys, to give our young women the thought that they have to be boys instead of girls. This is all evil, folks. This has nothing to do with God. Everything that we see today, it don't have nothing to do with God. Look at the churches. Look at the pastors. The pastors running around here getting public safety money, and they're not even visible in the Black community. I'm talking about the pastors like a Joel Osteen. I'm talking about pastors like Bishop Brazier here in Chicago. All these pastors with these mega churches meet. You don't hear them saying nothing about the illegals. You haven't heard Black pastors say, you know what? We don't want the homosexuality in the schools. That's the reason why that other races are so brazen to come, because the Black community is unguarded. The Black community no longer worship God like we should. It has been the Black pastors who has been a big problem in this country, because it was the Black pastors that went along with Joe Biden in the 90s to sign the crime bill to put our children in jail. When they made the crime bill, they opened the doors and opened the borders to drugs, infested our communities with crack and cocaine, created the crime bill. Black men and women was going to jail at the drop of a hat, was spitting on the ground. This was all by design. It was the Democratic Party who sucked all the jobs. They killed the economy in the Black community. It was the Democratic Party who destroyed Black Wall Street. See, Black people, we got to get our head out the sand, and we have to understand our enemy. The enemy is twofold. Our enemy is other Black people who don't stand up and be righteous for Black people. The other enemy that we see is all these sadistic people, the Barack Obamas, the Hillary Clintons. I just saw Kamala Harris in the church, and this is so asinine. I saw her in the church. She's a devil worshiper. But see, Satan can come into the church, and one of the people at the rally, the young lady at the rally, was talking about it. She was at the church trying to act like she was preaching and quoting scriptures. Well, my thought is, as a man of God and a true Christian, my job and your job as Christians is to do righteousness. See, we're not having that. Kamala Harris is playing the church. Because see, in order for a demon to get into the church, they have to be invited. And see, that's what we got. We got pastors like Warnock down in Georgia who doesn't have a church, but he has a satanic cult. Because see, men and women of God are supposed to be out here on the forefront fighting for righteousness. We shouldn't see veterans under the viaduct. No. As men and women of God, we should be out there assisting them, bringing clothes. We should be feeding them. We should be trying to find resources to help them. We should be doing for our own people what the Democrats are doing for illegals. They've opened doors. They're squatting here in Chicago. I was just on Steve Bannon War Room. They had a law and border special that was on Real America Voices over the weekend. Ben Bergquam. I want to thank Bob Israel. I want to thank Pastor Ford. I want to thank David Barnes. I want to thank Morris Anderson and all the other brothers who braved the cold to come out there with Ben Bergquam and Terry Newsom to show the world how the illegals are living here in Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson have given them everything. Now they're allowing them to squat in homes. See, to the American people and patriots across this country, this is what about to happen to this country. See, they set us up. They set us up to be invaded. They set us up so that if Trump wins this election, we already see there's thousands and thousands of illegals that are at the border right now, waiting to burst on. They're waiting to run to this country. They're waiting to tear down that wall, and they're preparing for war against the United States, 150 countries. Our borders have been open. We've allowed over 150 different nationalities to come into our country. We have army men from Venezuela. We have China that have army men here. They have technical people here. These different countries have brought men here, and they're not people looking for work, but these people are looking for war. That's what they're doing. And to the American people and patriots across this country, what we see down there with Doc Shack, you see men and women of God lined up for miles just to get in. And I'm so proud of them. I'm just hoping and praying that Black religious leaders need to come together. The Black leaders who got together and brought Joe Biden into office with the crime bill. We need real men and women of God to stand up, because if we don't make the stand now, Black people, the Black family structure is down to 9%. In the 60s, the Black family household, that was a husband and a wife. And they were raising up children who became something. I'm one of those children who graduated from high school at 15. My mother and father pushed me. They opened doors. They told me to be smart as I can, to learn much as I can. They're not teaching our children anything. The Black family structure is no longer there. Our young men do not know how to become husband and men, and our women are not being trained to be wives. And that's why the Black community is dying. Black men and women no longer respect each other. They're not getting married. They're more worried about the material things on this earth. And they're definitely not worried about God, because if all the people on the earth who say they know God and love God was doing righteous things, the things that God say we would do, we would not be in this condition. And saying that, I got another clip I want to play before we get out of here, folks. This is Kamala Harris.
My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to startup small businesses. But we've got to increase the corporate tax rate. State taxes are going to have to go up. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
I will snatch their patent so that we will take over. The question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it.
The cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people.
Bidenomics is working. It's working. It's a term we're very proud of, I must tell you.
I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies. Now, I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you.
It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and it's hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. I want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Fight, Daddy. My love, you must fight.
Fight. I love you, Dad. I'm proud of you, son.
I will not ban fracking. I'm in favor of banning fracking. It has to be legislation, but yes, and this is something I've taken on in California. I have a history of working on this issue. When it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
These dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again.
Name a favorite candidate. It used to be Joe Biden. Support Ms. Harris, so that is what we are going to do.
What I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism.
We all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry Christmas. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
We have to have a buyback program, and I support a mandatory buyback program.
Belittling and name calling. Let's turn the page.
Don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird?
Folks, I played that clip so that you can see her in action. Kamala Harris does not care about America. She does not care about black men. She doesn't care about the black community. There's so many things that she could have done that she should be doing because she is the current vice president of the United States. She should be making policies right now. She should have closed the borders. And yet she talked like everything is fine in the country. See, the problem that I'm having is that most of the people in the Democratic Party who say that they represent poor people are rich. Obama's rich. Harris is rich. Joe Biden stole his way to be rich. All these Democratic leaders are filthy rich. How can they represent us? They cannot. And guess who they got rich off of? They got rich off the American people and patriots across this country. And I think it's just high time right now. We're at the election stage. We can no longer wait another 4 years and put up with what we see. We cannot continue to allow Kamala Harris to lie, cheat, and steal and make an ass out of black people, and the black people that's running the vote for her don't even know they're voting for their own demise. And I want to say this to black men. We got to keep our head up. It's going to be us who take care of our families. And I want to play one more clip before I get out of here. When Kamala talks about justice, when she talks about what she did in California, how she changed, how she sent people in jail, put people in jail, this is one of the victims of Kamala Harris. And I want black men, when you go to the polls, that's all she did was try to destroy us, destroy our families, and put us in jail. Check this out.
Murder and wrongfully convicted by the office of Kamala Harris, sentenced 50 to life in prison. It took me 5.5 years to ultimately get back in the trial due to prosecutorial misconduct, and it took me another year to go to my second trial, to which I was vindicated by a jury of my peers. When I got convicted, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I got sentenced 50 to life in prison, Kamala Harris was in the courtroom. When I looked back and I seen her, she was smiling. And she did that stupid ass laugh that she do right now. This shit ain't funny.
And folks, that was the young man that was out in Cali that she ended up putting in jail. And I must say to the American people and patriots across this country, we cannot allow her to get back in office. We just can't do it because the simple fact is, if she gets in office and she keep talking about what she gonna do on the first day, Kamala's first day started over 3.5 years ago, and she has done nothing but destroy this country. She opened our borders and allowed the illegals to come in and do what they're doing to the American people and patriots across this country. It's early voting, especially black people. Black people, if we don't make the move right now to make a difference, if we don't, and then we allow Kamala Harris and the Democrats to steal another election, then guess what? The black community is going to die. These are my last words. See, what we need to understand is this. Everybody who said that they black ain't black. And black people, we've been putting black people in office, and they have not benefited us at all. The black politicians have stood around and watched what has happened to us in our schools. The black politicians have stood around like Brandon Johnson, Lowery Sugarfoot, Lightfoot, Maxine Waters, all these house niggas sitting around doing nothing for black people. They done got rich off of us. We got weak pastors running around here yesterday, jumping all up in the church, hollering about Jesus, Jesus. And once he get his money, he don't give a shit about black people. To the American people and patriots across this country, and black people, and God's people, it's time for us to stand up and unite. The truth of the matter is this: we can no longer hate each other. We can no longer sit back and watch one race be destroyed while the other ones feel that they can come up. This is about the United States of America. The word united means that we are one America. United States, all the states come together and we're one. If the men and women of God don't stand up with the patriots across this country, the truth of the matter is this: this country dies. This election, when Trump wins, they're going to open the borders and start a war. That's why we see Russia now. That's why we see China finna attack Taiwan. Because that's the last stand the Democrats have. And if you don't want the truth, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And in saying that, I want to thank you for tuning in to the show. Y'all share it around. Y'all get it in. God bless you, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy your evening. Peace.
Every time I step in the booth, I speak the truth. Y'all know what I'm bringing to you. I bring the truth. DC, y'all know who I be. I be the truth. When I speak, sell section free. Black Friday management and rocks the label. And I still hit with this fatal. That vest can't save you. I had a doc open you up from chest to navel. See my face on cable and have flashbacks of that cold table and a I gave you. I'm that'll come and pour salt in your wound at the hospital while the cops guarding your room. Got to see what I've seen.
She's bringing a man here who is Charlemagne, a false god, to a community that has 4,500 churches, all people of faith. We are extremely offended that she's bringing a podcaster here to talk to black men about politics. She brought a retired athlete to Flint who is failing, Magic Johnson, and she brought Oprah to Oakland County as if she understands the plight and the playing of people that look like me. We will not allow virtue signaling. We will not allow identity politics. Black men are not political infants. We know exactly what's happening with the Democratic Party. We know that they've exploited us for over 6 decades. And we are saying, just like Moses said to Pharaoh, let my people